I, 33 female, am engaged to my fiancé, 43 female. She's my best friend. Her severe weight gain, being obese, denial, and refusal to change is destroying my attraction and filling me with dread about our future. When I said I can't marry then, my fiancé, 43F, and I, 33F, have been together for 7 years and engaged for about 6 months now. When we first met, we were both in decent shape, nothing extreme, just healthy enough. If anything, I was a little too thin back then, though not in an alarming way. Over time, I put on about 70 pounds. Through all of that, she never once commented on my weight. Not a single side remark, no judgment, no subtle digs. She just loved me as I was. A couple of years ago, I decided I wanted to take better care of myself, and I lost about 40 pounds. But during that same time, she started gaining. Now, she's about 5 feet 2 inches, and while I don't know her exact weight, I'd guess somewhere around 220 pounds. It's been a steady climb, not overnight, but noticeable. The hard part is, I know this is something she has struggled with her entire life. She has told me countless times about how she grew up feeling the fat one, about diets she tried as a teenager, about how she had lost a ton of weight right before she met me. In fact, she once admitted that the only reason she even put herself out there to date again was because losing that weight gave her enough confidence to try. And now she's gained it all back. She talks about it constantly. She knows she has a problem. She's vented to me over and over about how much she hates her body, how she feels disgusting, how she doesn't understand why I stay with her when I could find someone better. Lately, it's escalated to her flat out asking me if I still find her attractive. And every single time I tell her yes, I reassure her. I remind her how much I love her, how beautiful she is to me, how I don't care about the number on the scale. But the truth? I'm struggling. I hate even admitting this, even to myself, because it makes me feel like a monster. I know what it's like to hate your body, to avoid mirrors, to hear that endless food noise in your head where everything feels like a battle between guilt and craving. I've been there. So the last thing I want to do is pile onto her shame by confessing that my attraction has started to fade. It feels cruel. It feels like betrayal. And yet, every time she looks me in the eyes and asks if I still find her attractive, it feels worse to lie. She's been seeing a therapist for about a year now. Honestly, I thought that would help. Therapy was something I gently encouraged after one of her many breakdowns over her weight, where she admitted she didn't feel in control anymore. I thought, maybe hoped, that talking to someone would help her unpack whatever is holding her back. And while I'm glad she's at least getting support, the truth is she's only gotten bigger. I know change takes time, but I'm genuinely scared for her. This isn't just about looks or attraction anymore. It's about health, about the future, about whether she'll even be here in 10, 20 years. A week ago, I finally sat her down and told her, honestly, but as gently as I could, that I'm scared for her. I told her I just want her to take care of herself, that I'm here to support her in any way she needs, that I'll cook healthy meals with her, that we can build a routine together. I even suggested going to the gym together, trying to make it something fun and bonding, not a punishment. But she shut that down. She said she doesn't want to go because people will stare at her, judge her, laugh at her. She said she can't handle being the fat person in a gym full of fit people. I reassured her. I told her my gym isn't fancy, that most people are just there doing their own thing, that even if someone did make a comment, it says more about them than it does about her. But she didn't budge. We've done couples therapy before. For about 2 years, actually. And honestly, it helped. We made progress in communication, in conflict resolution, in understanding one another better. But somehow, we never really touched on this issue. Her weight, my growing anxiety, the shift in our intimacy. It was like the elephant in the room that we danced around, maybe because it felt too raw, too sensitive, too cruel to say out loud. Recently, I suggested we go back. I thought maybe having a neutral space would help us untangle the mess I can't seem to bring up without guilt, and she can't seem to talk about without spiraling. But she shut that down. She said, "We already have the tools, we'll be fine. We don't need therapy again." And that was the end of it. I can't force her to go, I know that. But the truth is, I don't feel fine. I don't feel like we're using any of those tools at all. I feel stuck, scared, and honestly, a little hopeless when I think about what my life could look like 10 years from now. Married to someone who refuses to take care of themselves, who may eventually expect me to become their caregiver, all for something that is largely preventable. I've seen it before in my own family. Severe obesity isn't just about weight, it's about everything that comes with it. The constant pain, the limitations, the resentment toward the world, and especially toward the people closest to you. My aunt could barely walk more than a few steps before needing to sit down. She was always angry, always in pain, always lashing out, and I can see shades of that now in my fiancé. She gets upset more easily now, snaps at things that never used to bother her. And while I know life stresses can add up, I can't help but connect it to how uncomfortable she is in her own skin. Just last month, we went to see a show at the theater. She was clearly uncomfortable in her seat, shifting around, sighing, muttering under her breath. Finally, we moved to some empty seats a few rows over. For a moment, I thought maybe that would solve it. But then the actual ticket holders arrived. They were polite, just asked if those were our seats, and when we said no, they gently reminded us that those were theirs. My fiancé snapped at them. She made a snide remark about how they shouldn't complain since they showed up late. Yes, they were late, but they also paid for those seats, and they had every right to them. I was mortified. I apologized profusely, but the damage was done. The look they gave me, the awkwardness of the whole exchange, I wanted to sink into the floor. Later, in the car, I completely broke down. I cried. I raised my voice. I begged her to please figure this out, to please understand that I can't keep doing this. I told her I feel like I'm losing us, and I'm terrified of the future. Traveling has always been our thing. It's one of the first passions we bonded over. From weekend road trips to flights overseas, exploring new places has always been a huge part of our relationship. And for a while, it was easy. We could both walk for hours, hike trails, wander through cities without a second thought. But now, it's become another source of stress and sadness. Right now, we're on vacation with her parents. They're both in their mid-70s, healthy, active, the kind of retirees who spend their days skiing, biking 20 to 30 miles, or hiking up mountains. Honestly, they can keep up with me better than she can. And today was proof of that. We were supposed to take this short hike, less than a mile uphill. Nothing extreme, nothing dangerous. Her parents breezed through it, chatting and laughing, while I walked alongside them. But she couldn't even make it halfway without stopping, bent over, breathing heavily, visibly frustrated. She snapped at me multiple times, asking, "How much further? How long is this going to take?" Her tone was sharp, irritated, like I was somehow responsible for the incline of the hill. I tried to encourage her gently, to tell her we weren't far, but she just grew more crabby and withdrawn. Meanwhile, her parents, fit, vibrant, and decades older, kept pace without issue. The contrast was brutal. A couple of weeks ago, after we all went biking together, me, her, and her parents, her dad looked right at her and said, very bluntly, "It'd be a lot easier for you if you lost weight." He didn't say it with malice or sneering, just matter of fact, like it was the most obvious observation in the world. Still, it hit the air like a slap. I remember my stomach tightening when he said it. I was sort of mad at him for being so blunt about something so sensitive. This is a woman I love, the woman I've planned to marry. My instinct was to defend her, to say, "That's not fair," or "That's not helpful." But I didn't. I stayed quiet, sitting there with my mouth shut and my mind spinning, because as much as I hated hearing it out loud, a small, shameful part of me hoped maybe, just maybe, hearing it from someone other than me would actually get through to her. Maybe his bluntness would wake her up in a way my gentle nudges and quiet suggestions never have. Because at this point, I don't know what else to do. I don't want to be her parent, her personal trainer, her doctor, her therapist. I don't want my entire life with her to be shaped by this slow-motion crisis I can't fix. And more than anything, I don't want to start a marriage already feeling resentful, already worrying about a future of limitations and caretaking. The worst part, the part that makes me feel like an absolute monster, is that I sometimes find myself fantasizing about a different life. Not with anyone in particular, not with anyone I know, but with someone hypothetical. I'll see a reasonably fit, attractive woman at the grocery store, on the street, at the gym, and I'll catch myself wondering what it would be like to be with her. Someone who can walk up a hill without stopping. Someone who doesn't get angry over a theater seat. Someone whose body and energy don't make even the simplest outings feel like a negotiation. And then the shame sets in. Because how can I think these things when I'm engaged? When I'm making wedding plans with the person I've spent 7 years loving? It feels like a betrayal even though it's all in my head. I've never cheated in my life. I would never cheat. I think cheating is one of the lowest things a person can do to someone they claim to love. And yet, when my fiancé says things like, "You can find someone better," words she said to me more times than I can count, I feel a lump form in my throat, because as much as it pains me to admit it, part of me wonders if she's right. I keep telling myself things will change. I tell myself that maybe she'll finally take action, maybe therapy will start to help, maybe the weight will come off, maybe we'll find our rhythm again. And on my darkest nights, when I'm lying awake staring at the ceiling, I hear myself thinking, even if you do get married and things don't change, you can always get divorced. And then I want to slap myself. I want to yell at myself to wake up. Because if anyone I know in real life came to me with a story, if they told me they were engaged but secretly fantasizing about a different future, if they said they were scared to marry someone who refuses to take care of themselves, I'd tell them to leave. I wouldn't sugarcoat it. I'd tell them to run. I don't even know how it got like this. Sometimes I sit and wonder if I haven't done enough, if I've said the wrong things when she's opened up about her struggles, if I've enabled her more than I've helped her. Maybe I made it too easy to brush things under the rug. Maybe I softened everything so much that she never felt the urgency to change. I spiral in my head about it, replaying conversations, wondering if I should have been more direct, or less. I've wondered if I have some version of relationship OCD because I latch onto this issue and obsess over it, picking it apart until it consumes me. And yet, she is so much more than this one thing. My fiancée is incredibly smart, driven, and successful. She has a great career that she built from the ground up. When she talks about her work or when I see her in her professional zone, I still feel proud of her, proud to be with someone like her. When I look in her eyes and she smiles at me, I feel a rush of the same warmth that pulled me in years ago. But almost instantly, sadness creeps in. Because I know that person I fell in love with is still there, but it's buried under something I can't seem to get past. Her body, her weight, the way it has changed how we live, how we move through the world, and even how I feel when I hold her. I know weight gain is normal as we age. Everyone's body changes. I expected that. I'm not so naive to think people stay 25 forever. But what I didn't expect was how extreme it would become. Her stomach protrudes now, it hangs, and she literally uses it as a makeshift table sometimes. She waddles instead of walks. Her body reminds me of someone I knew years ago who was very obese and eventually ended up in a mobility scooter. And that terrifies me. Because I can see the future playing out in front of me, and it's not the future I dreamed of when I said yes to marrying her. What makes it even more confusing is that she does eat vegetables. She makes salads. She's always incorporated healthy things into meals. And she bikes. We're literally on a bike trip right now. So it's not that she's completely sedentary. But then there's portion control, the desserts, the way sweets are almost a nightly ritual. It's like she tries on the surface, but deep down she doesn't have the discipline to truly follow through. And I hate how judgmental that sounds coming out of my mouth, or worse, even thinking it in my head, because I know how brutal food noise can be. I've lived it. I've struggled with my own body and my own self-esteem. But when I see her take a second dessert, when I see her ignore the small, hard choices that make a big difference, I just feel defeated. And then the thought comes crashing down on me. If I met her today, if I didn't already know her heart, her laugh, her kindness, her brilliance, if I just saw her across the room as a stranger, I probably wouldn't even date her. Because her body now is simply not the type I'm attracted to. That makes me feel like the worst human alive. How do you reconcile loving someone so deeply, but feeling that physically, you're being pulled further and further away from them? Saying these things, even just admitting them here, makes me feel physically sick. I feel disloyal, cruel, shallow. Like I'm betraying her in secret just by admitting to myself that this matters to me. But if I bury it, if I keep pretending it doesn't bother me, I'm lying to both of us. And lies, even unspoken ones, corrode a relationship over time. So, how do I reconcile this? How do I get through to her without destroying her? How do I make her see how serious this is without making her feel unloved? Because I do love her. But I also know I can't keep ignoring the knot in my stomach, the quiet dread I feel when I think about the future, the part of me that is scared that I'm already halfway out the door in my mind.